I work in a manufacturing plant that produces carbonated drinks. I am assigned in the maintenance department either to fix or to perform servicing on all auxiliary equipments, or just to check the equipments if they are working properly. My shift depends whether the demand is high and the supply is catching up with the demand of the products. So mostly I work at night, as the plant needs to operate on a much higher number of hours. The thing about the location of our factory is that right before the 90s when the plant was built, it used to be a Chinese cemetery. I'm not really a person that gets easily frightened about supernatural beings, but from what I experienced, I was absolutely terrified. I'm still getting chills when thinking about it. During my shift, I am scheduled to perform a routine check and to let the machines rest at 12 midnight. So one by one, I had to check the machines and then shut them off. As the production stopped and the plant became silent, I heard banging noises, and it came from the tool room. The tool room was infamous for having paranormal activities such as tools getting knocked over, doors closing, and even locking a person inside and could not unlock it. But I was not afraid to look inside because a co-worker might be trapped. So I went inside and turned on the lights, but I saw nobody. So I shut it back and closed the door. As I turned my back, the banging started again. I rushed to the door and opened it. Someone screamed loudly on my ears. It was so loud that I fell down on my chest due to being startled. I ran as fast as I could. I looked back and the door was already closed. Luckily, I just had minor bruises from the incident. Sometimes, I still hear the scream inside of my head. Sometimes I wake up in the middle of the night because I remembered it. And sometimes, I'll get startled easily when I hear loud noises. That scream. That terrible scream. When you want to be promoted, you usually think only of your job and your goal. You won't think about your well-being. You forget to take adequate rest and you sleep less during the night. You'll have less time on leisure activities, less time for your friends and family, and less in yourself. Overworking can incur a lot of problems, including fatigue, stress, and significant decrease of overall mental health. But if you have mouths to feed, debts to pay, and a lot of wants in life, most of us overwork. I had this problem before when I was working in corporate. I was so obsessed to be promoted that I worked harder than I ever had in my life. Sometimes I sleep only for 4 hours or even 3 hours at night. I drink coffee twice or 3 times every day to help me stay awake, but that's not good for my health. But I have no choice if I really want my boss to look up to me and promote me. One rainy night, while I was working overtime, I heard voices, whispering voices like someone was talking to me. I checked the room, but I was the only one remaining in the office. So I went back on my seat and continued working. I heard someone calling me. I checked outside on the hallway, and I think I saw a small child running towards the elevator. So I followed the child. Right when I was making the last turn, the door to the utility closet closed. I tried to open it, but it was locked. I knocked on the door and told the child to get out of the closet because she might get hurt there. I asked for her name or where her mother is, but there was no response. So I called security and told them that someone was on the 11th floor. But as they saw in the CCTV video, I was the only one running to the elevator. There was nobody else. There was no child. So I went back to my office, told myself that it was all in my head. I continued to work until midnight. After that, I cleaned my desk and I shut off my computer so that I can go home. But again, I heard someone whispering in my ears. I looked at the door and a child in a white dress was standing there. I couldn't really see her face clearly, so I ran towards her, but she ran away from me. As I make my final turn, all the lights dimmed. Then, a lady wearing white with a bloody face approached me slowly. I was so petrified, I was unable to move any inch of my body. I can feel a cool breeze blowing towards me. The only thing that I can do is to close my eyes. When I opened it, everything seemed normal. So I rushed to the security office and watched the whole footage. But I only saw me, startled and not moving an inch for 3 minutes. After that, I quit my job, did what I always wanted to do in life. I slept for 8 hours every day, and that experience never came back. But still thinking about it makes me rethink about life and how important our health is compared to the money we're making. One night, I was all alone in the office. My boss keeps giving me a lot of work to do, so I had to work overtime. It was pretty stressful and tiring. Even on weekends, I can't enjoy my day off because I had some work to do. Well, I hope I do get a raise for this. Otherwise, I'll get pretty upset. So I went over to the kitchen to get some coffee. Coffee is always my go-to beverage while I'm working. I noticed that the coffee maker was empty, so I had to brew a new one. I went to the pantry to get some coffee, milk, and sugar. I like my coffee a little sweet. While I was waiting for my coffee, I walked down to the nearest vending machine to get something to eat. Then I noticed someone in the utility room outside. I told myself it must be a new janitor of the building. But it was already 10 in the evening. Their shift ended an hour ago. So I asked him if he's the new janitor. He didn't respond. So I asked him again, "Hey, can't you hear me? What's your name, pal?" He was staring at me. So I got a clear look on his face. That man, I recognized that man. He was all over the news lately. He was a criminal, a murderer. He had a smirk in his face. Then I saw that he was holding a knife and started to run towards me. I ran back to my office as fast as I could, but there were no doors on where my desk is, so I ran to the storage area and locked the door behind me. It was dark and small, and I left my phone on my desk. He began banging the door and stabbing it to cut through the material. I was lucky that it was hard to break. It took a couple of stabs before he poked a hole. I was ready to die. I knew that this was going to be the end for me. But then I heard someone shouting, "Freeze! Drop the knife and put your hands in the air." So I looked through the hole that he made. But he ran to the right. The guards chased after him. After a couple of seconds, I heard gunshots. Then they said, "Suspect down." I repeat, "Suspect down." I was relieved. I went outside of the room that I was hiding in. One of the guards escorted me to the lobby. The police arrived, and also the medics. I was really thankful for the guards. If they didn't do their job well, I would have been dead by now.